Good morning guys, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a new vlog. If you're new here, my name is Borossy. Last summer I got diagnosed with MS and today I have my follow-up neurology appointment after my first Ocrevus Infusion. And I thought I would vlog today, tell you kind of like how I'm feeling, what's going to happen today, all of those things. So I had my first infusion back in April, I want to say. March maybe it was, and split up to 2 sessions, but yeah, my first dose. Since then I've experienced a few symptoms, kind of like side effects to the drug, I believe. It started almost immediately after my first infusion. I started to get skin issues, so I've been dealing with a lot of like dry patches, back acne, and as of a couple of days now I'm suffering from a rash on my top lip, and it's small bubbles. You can't really see them if you don't come very up close and personal. With makeup you can't really tell. It doesn't itch unless I touch it. I feel like it's a little bit weird texture, but not painful at all, just inconvenient. Kind of like a heat rash, I would say. And then I've had other symptoms relating to MS, obviously, like my fatigue have been through the roof. The first month after the infusion I was feeling quite energized, which was amazing for a change. But then as soon as the second one hit, I completely crashed and I started to get really bad fatigue again. My arm pain is really severe, it's really bothering me. My balance is still really bad. Many things. But today I have the follow-up appointment with my neurologist, so I will be telling him all about how I've been feeling, how I have been managing, and all of those things. And I want to ask him if he have any other recommendations for me, like supplements that I could be taking. I'm currently taking D vitamin and omega-3, but before I start to implement other kinds of vitamins and supplements, I need to ask him what's appropriate for me. I've been reading about, some things are just not compatible with the drug that I'm on and the condition that I have and things like that. I don't want to do anything that could be potentially harmful or have an opposite effect as a positive than a positive one. So I have been going consistently to the gym. I feel like mentally, most of all, that's really helping me. But I feel like physically, of course, you can manage better when you're stronger. So I would highly recommend. Even if you just go 15-20 minutes, if that's all you're up for. I find it when I'm there, like before going, I'm always like, oh, I really don't want to go. But as soon as I'm there and as soon as I've passed the threshold of like 15-20 minutes, I could keep going. And then I'm just more motivated and I feel like, yeah, it's beneficial. So that's good. I can hear my colleague laughing. I wonder what she's smiling about. Anywho, it's Tuesday and I'm in the office and I'm gonna get cracking on with my day. And at 3:30 I have my appointment. I probably will have to drive myself. Caesar have to pick up Hector, our son, at that time from kindergarten. So fingers crossed that I won't need him to translate or anything. I don't think I will. I feel like I can manage pretty well now. As you all know, probably by now, I live in Spain and I'm Swedish, so it's my third language, Spanish. And sometimes it can be a little bit tricky communicating with the doctors, but I feel like I have a hang of it now and I do understand my neurologist, so that's good. I also made a claim for all of my paperwork for the last 3 years from the hospital, and I wonder if they are ready. Maybe I could be able to pick them up this afternoon, fingers crossed. I want to get a hold of my MRI scans and that kind of thing to share with you guys, but mainly to have to see the progress over the years. So I'll leave it at that. Let's get cracking, and next time I pick up the camera we're probably on our way to the hospital.
We work it out, only time will tell. It's gonna take a lot, because we've been through it.
It's now 2:30. I've just arrived home after work. I am about to have something to eat, but my stomach is in knots and I feel like I'm really hungry, but I don't know. I always get very nervous before any doctor's appointments. Like I'm the kind of person who gets nervous for a blood test. Like, I really hate hospitals. I really hate anything to do with like needles, and I always get very, very nervous when I have to go to a doctor's appointment. So there is no difference when I have to go to my neurologist. And this time I'm going alone. Usually Caesar likes to come with me, because if I can't like take in all the information, but my appointment is at the same time as our son finished kindergarten, as I mentioned, so I will be going by myself, and I'm starting to get a little bit stressed out. And what do I do when I'm stressed out? I have a coffee. No, but like, I don't know, the only thing that I feel like eating is fruit or drinking coffee. That's the only two things that I'm always in the mood for. So I'm thinking to do an iced coffee before leaving, and I'll have some lunch or food when I get back. I've just snacked on an apple. Couldn't bear to eat more than half though. But yeah, that's on the agenda, and then I'm gonna be taking my scooter to the hospital, and Caesar will pick me up afterwards. That's the plan. Finished up my appointment. I'm back home. Caesar picked me up, and I have a few more appointments booked in. So today was kind of like a checkup after my first infusion. He was asking me how I was feeling and any new symptoms. He did a neuro exam to check my reflexes and whatnot. I had to do balance exercises and all those things. Nothing really new to report. I still have quite a bit of instability. My left side of my body is significantly weaker than my right side. I have the majority of the pain I feel in my body is on my left side, and this is also making like, because I have a weak arm, because I have a permanent like damage in my arm, because I have chronic neurologic pain from a severe lesion in my neck, that is like my body is trying to balance out the fact that I have less strength in my left arm. So it's compensating, and I'm getting a lot of like contracturas. I don't know how to say, but like you should go to a masochista. I can't speak English now. I should go and get massage to try and sort out some of my soreness, because that could be also muscle pain. But my neurologic pain is always the same, so I know the difference by now. I know my body quite well. But I wanted to share the fact that I feel so, like, every time I go to these appointments, I end up leaving in a really bad headspace. I feel like there is nothing more frustrating than going to the doctors with a problem and you don't get a solution for the problem. I'm not the kind of person who goes to the medical or to doctors in general. Like, before my MS, I never used to go. And now obviously I have to go. But the feeling when you say that you have an issue and they can't give you any sort of solution to the problem, you end up leaving just feeling very discouraged. And I don't know if this is just my neurologist or if this is like in general for people with MS. But like with my pain, he's just saying, well, that's your disease. I'm like, okay, but shouldn't there be something I could maybe do to try and manage the pain? He has prescribed me pain relief, like medicine that I can take, but when I take it I don't feel less pain, I just feel more drowsy. So I end up not taking that medication because I feel like it has not the effect that I wish it would have. And then, but anywho, so he gave me an appointment to come back to see him on the 20, when was it? He told me to come back and see him okay, so I have to come back and see him on the 18th of September, and then I think on the 28th is my next infusion. But before going in to see him, I have to do a blood test. So without showing you all of my information, like I need to go and get a blood test where they check all of these things, and I believe it's because when you're on Ocrevus you have to keep check on certain levels to see that the medicine is not causing any like any side effects that you wouldn't want. But then I also told him about my diet. I asked if there is any supplements I should be taking apart from the D vitamin and the omega-3 that I'm taking, and he recommended me a book actually, and I will probably order that because I thought that was, at least that was something to grasp. And this is a Spanish book, but it's la microbiota idiota. So it's basically a book about the micro or probiotics, I believe, that we can take. So that's an interesting read. I would probably order that, read that, and then give you my 2 cents on it. But yeah, so most of these things that the blood test would check is like my anything from my glucose levels to my calcium, potassium, magnesium, like all these things that I could be taking or supplementing, and the vitamin B12, like folic acid, so many things. So this is going to be very interesting. Normally I have quite good levels. I have a pretty balanced diet already, so usually when I do these kinds of tests my results come back really well or really good. I know that I tend to lack iron, so that could be something I might have to supplement with. But anywho, at least that's something to look forward to. And then he will probably schedule me for my next MRI in 6 months' time. I think he said that he wants to do the next MRI when I've been on Ocrevus for like a year, to see if there has been a change to the one before that. So going into my treatment, I've told you this before, but if you're new here, before I started my treatment, so just a few weeks before, I had an MRI that showed on new activity, that I have new brain lesions on my right side of my brain, and that's why I decided to go ahead with Ocrevus, because I've had attacks now very close together, and he says that my MS is very strong and it's very active and it's very aggressive. It's relapsing, remitting, but it's very aggressive. And so he really wanted me to be on some kind of medication, so I have decided to go with Ocrevus. Yeah, so just wanted to share that little update and where my heart's at, where my head's at. I feel pretty depressed. He did tell me that all my symptoms will get worse if I'm depressed. Which makes sense, like when you feel bad mentally, then the rest of you will follow. But I do not feel depressed unless I'm going to the hospital, because when I'm going to the hospital it's like a reminder that I'm ill. But in between I'm like trying to eat healthy, I'm sticking to a schedule, I'm busy at work, I'm going to the gym, like I have a pretty good routine, and I feel like I'm doing everything I can to stay healthy and try to keep this disease at bay. But it's just hard mentally sometimes when you know that the discomfort and the pain that you're in is just not gonna go away. It doesn't matter what you do. That's very frustrating and sometimes quite debilitating. yeah, I don't know what your experience with your neurologists are, if you feel like they are listening to you when you go and you talk to them about things, or if you feel like they just rush through that part. Sometimes I can feel like my neurologist don't really take the time to listen to me. He will ask the questions, but he will not really listen to the answer. It's like his attention span is like this short. But I do feel like he's very thorough with other things, so I don't want to give him only negative feedback, but I don't know, could be the language barrier too. I don't know, I'm just curious, do you feel heard when you go to see your neurologist, or do you feel worse when you leave the appointment? Because that's like, I feel like I have to go through this stage of mourning every time I leave the hospital for any reason. I don't know. It's just strange, but thank you for being here today, friends, and thank you for always being so supportive. I love to hear you guys' stories, so feel free to share down in the comments. I don't know what happened on my last video. Many of you saw it, and I had just no interactions. Nobody said anything, and I was like, wonder if my comments are off. Like, so if you are still watching by the time I'm saying this, please leave a comment down below so I know that you are still here. And if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. I'm an open book, I share most things here. And if there is anything specific that you want me to share, or if you have any suggestions of videos that you would like to see, then also leave those down in the comments, because then I know. I have my ideas, but it's nice to know what you guys really want to see. So thank you for being here today, friends, and subscribe if you're new. I love you so much. Take care. Bye.
We work it out, only time will tell. It's gonna take a lot, 'cause we've been through hell.